How are you doing today? Let's talk about metamessages. And I'm asking you in our writing assignment to explain what metamessages are to me and talk about them a little bit. And so why not listen to what I explain about it, my take on it. You may be able to add to that or straighten me out in some way. I have never found a good definition of a meta message, and so I'm sorry I can't put up a slide here that says meta message : and have a two-line description that makes perfect sense. Although I don't think there's a lot of disagreement. What you'll normally see if you type this into dictionary.com or into Google or someplace is you'll find a message within a message, or a message about a message. Meta is that Greek prefix. It means it's kind of about something. The way we use the term in our discipline, and you'll see Deborah Tannen properly use it in these readings, is that we send meta messages to people. It's not reading between the lines as much as it is recognizing a message that comes alongside of something somebody says to you, a fact or a suggestion, a request, or whatever. And recognizing the meta message helps us negotiate relationships. That's really the content of it. Another way to look at it might be from our interpersonal courses that you may have taken, that there's a content level every time we have a conversation or tell somebody something, and there's also a relationship level of the message that tells us who we are to one another. That's what we want to focus on with a meta message. Who are we to one another? And the meta message tells us that. I see meta messages as communicating two things. Number one, what is our relationship in terms of status and hierarchy? Who's the boss? Who is one up? Who is equal? Who do we have that respect as an equal colleague for? Who do we look up to? We embed these things in every message every communique we have with people. We will embed these meta messages about our relationship in terms of status and hierarchy. So when I go talk to my boss down the hall, I knock on the door politely. Do you have a few minutes? Sending the meta message that I don't have the status to just walk in and interrupt you. I ask my questions. At some point, because he responds in a very collegial way, I can be blunt and speak freely and talk. Or I have bosses that I can be blunt and speak freely and talk because I know that they respect the people that work underneath them. But these meta messages are there about who's the boss. And so in the case of, let's say, some men, because men are really tuned into the status and hierarchy thing. It almost organizes our whole world. The new guy at work, and you have a crew of people that are working on a task in a work group, and the new person's been there 3 months, and everybody likes them, and they're getting to know people, and finally, the new person has always got suggestions about how to do things. What happens is one of the employees with a longer work history there, who's been there longer, who has seniority, who is one up in that hierarchy, will come alongside that person and say, hey buddy, you're new here. You really just let us make these decisions about how to do things. You know, if you've got a good idea, share it with somebody privately, but don't blurt it out to everybody. When that happens, something went wrong. You shouldn't have to do that because people send meta messages, and when the new person says, hey, let's do it this way, I've got a better way to do it than you've been doing it for 20 years or 50 years. They get the cold shoulder from people. People don't listen. They may only listen politely and then immediately steer conversation towards the way we normally do things. There's a meta message there that you don't have the expertise or seniority to tell us what to do. And even if your idea is a good one, we didn't ask for solutions. There's not a problem here. And so the meta messages failed for that person, for that young person. And they had to be told, just keep watching and learning. We have seniority and we'll do it our way. So if anybody calls you aside and said, listen, you know you've missed a bunch of meta messages along the way, because the meta messages typically are not spoken out loud. They're in the tone of voice. They're in a response. They're in somebody not listening. They're in somebody overreacting to something you say. And it's the overreaction, it's the underreaction, the lack of response. There in the meta message is buried. It could be in the tone of voice that the meta message, you've been told to do something by a boss who just has an attitude, and that they think they're better than you, and it irritates you because you feel that I need some respect too. Well, they're sending you a meta message that I think I'm better than you and you don't know anything, and you're interpreting it correctly. So we have to watch for those. Now the other area, number 2, where we use meta messages are in the depth of our relationship with one another. Let me back up a minute to number 1, status and hierarchy. We also send meta messages about being equal, about being colleagues. I do listen to your ideas. I do want to hear what you have to say. In a friendship, we don't always do what I want to do. Do what you want to do. And sometimes I have to say, well, last time we did what I wanted to do. Let's go where you want to go tonight. Let's do what you'd like to do. Yeah, I'll even go bowling with you. I hate bowling, but I will go bowling with you just because I value the friendship and I want to spend time with you. And last time you went fishing with me and you hated fishing. We're equals. We send meta messages about that equality as well. Okay, back to number 2 now. In terms of, we send meta messages about how deep our relationship is with one another. Okay, you see this comes right in with dating, with flirting. We have examples there. When 2 people are just getting to know each other, and this happened not long ago. I could hear some footsteps coming down the hall right here in my office, and my door was open. I was grading papers, and I knew that's my daughter. It's 3:30, she's coming by, and we're going to drive home together. I knew her footsteps, so I hear her coming, and I hear some footsteps coming the other way, and a young man passes by my door, and I hear them stop, and so I stop grading and I listen. And I hear him say, hey, how's it going? And my daughter's voice, fine, how are you? And they stood there and talked for a few minutes. And I knew that he was on the speech team and my daughter was on the speech team, the debate team. And they were casual acquaintances. And they talked a few minutes and then they went their ways. My daughter came in the office and plopped down. I turned to her and said, did you get the meta message that young man just sent you? And she said, no, Dad, tell me what it was. Hey, I've got a picture of my daughter right here. This is her self-portrait with her cat. And I keep treasures like that. She's artistic and does paintings. And I'll keep these my whole life. So I said, you know what that young man was saying to you, his meta message? No, Dad, tell me. I said, he was walking by and he was saying, I know you, and I would like to have a deeper friendship with you, so I'm going to talk and be polite. And she says, well, I'd like to have a deeper friendship with him also. And that's all it was. He wasn't flirting with her. He didn't ask her on a date. She didn't flirt with him, but they stopped and acknowledged each other more than just, hi, I know you from the debate team, and I have to say my obligatory greeting to you as we pass by. No, it went deeper than that. And they both indicated to each other that I'm open to a deeper friendship. You remember from your interpersonal class, if you had one, relationships go in these levels. And, we start at level 1, we're just acquaintances. We be polite, we follow the social rules. That's my phone ringing, I'll have to answer it when we're done. And they were at level 1. They knew who each other were, and it was appropriate to at least acknowledge and greet. They were saying, we're ready to move up to level 2 in the relationship and consider a friendship, a longer friendship. Okay, another meta message that happens, you're at work and come in the morning and you hear people talking about last night. And you start listening and you ask around a bit, what'd you do last night? And you find out that everybody went out last night to the bar and grill and had dinner and drinks and just had a great time. And you didn't know about it. Nobody told you that they were doing that. And you feel left out, like I'm not part of the group. Well, you may have been sent a meta message with the lack of an invitation that no, you're not part of the group. And you mention it to somebody, and you know who kind of the group instigators and leaders are, those sanguine people that connect everyone together. And you mention it, wow, that sounds like you guys had fun last night. I would have loved to come. So you've gotten one meta message already. You're not part of the group. You didn't get the invite. And then, you know, an apology is forthcoming. Oh, I am so sorry. We totally forgot about you. It'll never happen again. And we're going to do this. We do this every Thursday night. And next time it's right here. And we're so sorry. Well, they're sending the meta message that, yes, we do want you to be part of our social network here. Or somebody says, oh, well, okay, I guess you didn't get the word. But next time you don't get the word either, you know, yeah, they don't want you to be part. You can read between the lines, right? Why didn't you call? Meta message. And apologies need to be forthcoming. Profuse ones when it was really an oversight and you were just too busy and you didn't call, but you know, why didn't you call me? That sends a meta message that you're just not at that place in my life where you deserve a phone call to check on you, see how you're doing, or whatever that phone call's about. So these meta messages are all about who are we to one another, relationship level. Hey, we send meta messages about breaking up too. I got one in my high school yearbook. That's a true story if you've read the chapter 4 from How to Write an Essay. But I didn't get it because I was dense and dull and did not get meta messages when I was young. And my conclusion on the whole matter is this. Those people you know that really have a hard time fitting in, that have a hard time finding jobs, keeping jobs, really just don't connect in the world, they really struggle with reading meta messages and are maybe not even aware that that relational level message is always, it's just in the air all around you all the time in every conversation with everything that is said. The meta messages are there. And if you are one of those people taking this class, take this to heart. Be very serious about meta messages. Start watching for them. Start reading them. We have a class in nonverbal communication that can help you to at least learn some general principles about nonverbal communicating. And all these meta messages, once they're spoken and put it on the table, it's because you haven't been getting it and there's a problem. All right, I hope this makes sense to you about meta messages. And again, I'm sorry, no concise, good definition. And if you want one, it's this. Meta messages are the accompanying relationship level messages about who we are to one another and how deep our relationship is. Okay, thanks for watching, and I hope